Welcome back to the Daughters of the Moon podcast. Mom and I are really excited that you can join us for another week here. We're super excited. We are welcoming back Carmen Turner-Schott. She was on with us on episode 211 and where we talked about some astrology stuff there. And now we are going to talk about her new book that's coming out at the beginning of August. So it will be out by the time this podcast airs. Your Astrological Energy, Maximize the Power of Your Birth Chart. So we're excited to have you back, Carmen. Welcome on with us.
Thank you. I appreciate you having me. It's been a really intense year astrologically. This is, astrologers are saying they've never seen anything like this. It's just been,
Crazy.
lots of major planets have changed signs, that doesn't happen for many, many years. I think, with Pluto and Aquarius and Uranus just went into Gemini this summer. Last time that happened, we had World War II. It was a long time ago. So it's a lot of historical energies influencing the world right now. It's pretty powerful time. I'm curious to see what's going to play out. The technology and robots and space travel and all these different things, AI, ETs, see what
You bet.
happens. See what happens.
Yeah, they all really seem to be coming into the forefront now. And I know just even in some of the things I use and doing some chat GPT things and just to kind of help. And it's amazing just how
Yeah.
accurate it is and how it just gets to know your tone and who you kind of are and what you,
Yeah.
yeah, it's almost kind of scary in some ways.
It
It
is.
is.
It is. It's kind of controversial. I think it's that Pluto and Aquarius that, it's like this transformative change, this cataclysmic, change, rebirth. It feels like a loss, but it can be healing. That's Pluto and but it's everything scientific, everything that's, eccentric and innovative and it's kind of, robots and all this stuff, it's a controversy with AI. And I've been seeing this now where they'll say, submit your article, no AI. They'll say that in their thing for pitching. I pitch articles sometimes like, no, if you use AI, you will be discarded. Like a lot of people don't want writers and people using AI. And I don't use it to write, but it is a nice tool to research. But
Yeah.
the problem is, this is what's interesting. This is kind of the Pluto Aquarius and Uranus and Gemini. A friend of mine that's an author, she got an email from her publisher, and I never thought about it till she shared it with me, and I'm like, oh wow, I didn't know it did that. So they were warning authors not to submit their manuscripts into chat GPT or AI and it for spell check. Some people upload it to spell, check because it takes your ideas and it learns it. And it
Of
takes like
course.
your special book and it learns it. And so then if someone else Googles astrology, it'll pop out your book ideas.
Oh my
Wow.
gosh.
And they warned authors not to use it for spell check or anything. Do not upload manuscripts into AI like they warned you. And I'm like, this is crazy. I never thought there'd be a day I'd be getting an email like this. So I got an email from a friend and I'm like, wow. So I shared it with another author friend of mine because she likes to use it a lot for research just to see what it says. And the
Right.
funny thing is, it's often not accurate about astrology. There's things that aren't right about it. And because it only learns what humans have put in it
That's right.
and they have these jobs, which I actually was going to I applied for one. I ended up not doing it. It was for a social worker to give ideas to this AI company to put in the AI to teach it about social work. I'm like,
Wow.
I ended up not doing it, and they pay you for each article or something. But I was looking into it because that's how they're training it. It's a supercomputer, and they have to have human beings' brains and knowledge and experience to make it work.
Wow. That's
They
so
they
crazy.
program it and code it and I'm like, my daughter and I, we kind of got into it because she's very against AI. And I didn't know why. And she's in college, but all her friends are like, AI is bad. She's like, Mom, don't use it. Don't get on there. You need to use normal Google. This is what she tells me. And I'm like, why? And she said, because it's a supercomputer and it uses so much energy. She said it's hurting the environment. I didn't know. I'm like,
Really?
oh wow, I'm learning from my 20-year-old. I mean, she's in college learning this stuff. I'm like, I didn't know that. She goes, oh mom, the amount of electricity and everything it takes when you ask it to do stuff. I'm like, oh, so now I haven't been using it at all. I just go to Google, Google. Google's good. It gives you what you need, but it made me realize I don't want to be using it too much if it's hurting the environment in any way. So
No.
everyone has these things I'm learning about this. It's like it just makes your head hurt now, because hope we don't get to where you have to use it to survive, like everything's electronic, you can't pay bills, everything's like virtual. I hope that we have some freedom to still send, paper stuff in, we'll
Yeah, I
see.
hope so
We
too.
may,
I hope
it's,
so
it's,
too. So
it's
what inspired you to write this new book of yours?
sure. Well, I just realized, I've been doing astrology since I was 16. And the more I did it, and the more I've met people, and the more I've, done charts and taught, and I realized that astrology is energy, and that is the reason it's accurate. And it validates what we know about each other. And I've had so many people say to me, I just know people's signs when I meet them. I can feel their energy. And that's kind of how I've always been. Like when I'm at work or someone walks in the room, I'll know. I'm like, you got Leo or you've got Pisces. And I realize I haven't seen their chart. I'm feeling their energy. So I had a lot of clients that used to, be worried and say, Carmen, I'm really worried. I don't have any planets in Scorpio. I don't have any planets in the fifth house. Is that bad? They would ask me this. And I'm like, no, because we have all 12 signs energies in our birth chart. All of us do. They all exist within our soul, within us. So I wanted to write this book to teach people how to harness each of the signs, strengths, and energies, especially if you lack, a certain sign in your chart. Then you can read the chapter about that in my book and learn how to become more like that sign. And that's really
Nice.
why I wrote it, because I mean, I hear that all the time. The two main questions I get as an astrologer are, what's my soul mission and purpose? Who's my best match, in relationships? I get that a lot. But then the other one is, why do I have an empty house? And why do I have no planets in one sign? And so I thought, you know what? We're going to knock it all out in one book. So this is the thickest book I've ever written. And I'll tell you, it was hard to write because I knew I had so much information that I wanted to get in there. And, I talk about each sign, its keywords, how to harness its energy, its main traits and energies. I talk about having the planets in each sign, in each house, and transits. I talk about the planets in transit, each sign, each house. So it's a lot of info. So you need to have your birth wheel and if possible, your transit chart so you know what planets are transiting all the different houses. So you can, if you got Pluto in the 10th, you'll go to the 10th house chapter and look up Pluto in the 10th and you'll read about yourself. And then you'll go to the 8th house chapter. If you have something in the 8th house, your sun or moon, you'll use the entire book. Where my other book, Sun Signs, Houses, and Healing, I had a chapter dedicated to each sign. And pretty much you read about your own sign and then maybe look up your friends, but you didn't use the whole book on yourself. So this one is a lot more interactive. You'll be using all the book at some point, looking up something that you have in your birth chart.
I love that.
Beautiful.
So where can
Yeah.
a person get their birth wheel then?
Yeah, absolutely. I always tell people you can go to astro.com. That's where I go, and tell people it's easy. Or you can email me through my website, carmenturnerschott.com, contact page, and I can send you your wheel. I don't charge, it's fine. I used to do that. Actually, I used to have a pop-up that you could put your stuff in, and I would physically do a birth wheel, email everyone. And I learned my lesson about that because I wasn't real busy. At first I was doing that, and then I was on a podcast coast to coast. And as I'm on there at midnight, my emails are ding, 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 ding. I had like 200 people wanting their birth wheel. It took me weeks to do it. So, I took that down because I thought, oh my gosh, I just didn't expect that. So now I say, just email me. I don't advertise it, but if you listen to this podcast, if you email me, I will send you your birth will. And you can go to astro.com to get a free one. But what you need is you need to know for those new, you need to know your month, day, and year of birth, your exact time of birth, AM or PM, and your place of birth, city, state, country. And you'll put all of it in, and it'll pop out a wheel. Because what astrology is, it's a map of the sky on the moment, time, place of your birth. And it's like we take a picture of the sky at that moment of your birth when your soul came into the physical and we put it on a piece of paper. And it really is a symbolic language. We make symbols to describe the planets and what's going on. So it's a wheel. It's got 12 houses and there's 10 planets, and every planet is in a certain star constellation when you're born, one of the 12 signs, in a certain area of the sky, which we break into sections like a pie, 12, and we take a picture of it and we put it on a piece of paper, and you'll see it numbered 1 through 12. Those are the houses, and each house rules a different area of life. Fourth house is home and family, seventh house is marriage and partnership, 10th house is career, and you look to see, do you have planets in those houses? Do you have, and then you have aspects, things going on in the middle of the chart. There are all these lines. Those are trine squares, there's oppositions. That just means the energy that's going on between those planets in the sky when you're born. And you can analyze every single thing. You'll look up the transit. Okay, you've got Sun squared Neptune. What does that mean? I mean, there's books you can look up all of these placements. So you have so many parts of yourself and personality that's much more than just the sun sign. A lot of people think that just the sun sign is their main thing. It's not. That's just one little part of you. And so when you knew the whole chart, you learn all these facets of yourself and you'll learn, oh, wow, I don't feel like that at all. Wow, because I got a square. And that means I'm not feeling that part of myself at all. I've never experienced it because it's blocked. And then what happens in life is we have transits that happen. And in our lives, sometimes these transits awaken these energies that we've never felt before. And that's why people are like, I don't know what's going on with me. They'll call me Carmen, I'm freaking out. I'm dreaming things. I'm anxious. Like I'm remembering the past and thinking about all these things I never thought about. I'm more sensitive. And I look and they got a transit that is opening up one of their squares, in their birth chart. And all of this can be seen and explained as energy. And that's what it is. It's energy. You feel energy, when you walk into the room, if it's cold and people are mad and angry. I don't know about you guys, but I feel it. And
Oh yeah.
empathics, right? We're empathic. Everyone has intuition in some way. Every sign does it in a different way. But
Yep.
everyone really, even people that don't think they're intuitive, I'll tell them, you're very intuitive. Oh no, no. And I'm like, no, you are. And your chart shows it too, but I'll tell them, do you feel things? They're like, yeah, but they doubt themselves. So I believe that all 12 signs have special gifts and abilities and strengths. Now, everyone always asks me, well, are there signs that are more psychic than others or more, sensitive? And I'll say, yeah, the water signs. Everyone knows the water signs are more intuitive. They feel things, they have psychic abilities. A lot of them do. But it's more than that. The earth signs can also be very intuitive. They're very grounded. They feel things too. Air signs can get psychic information, but it's more, logical, kind of unexpected, hits them as ideas, not so much emotion, but thoughts. Every sign has abilities. And then I tell people, if you don't have a planet in a sign, or if you have an empty house, when you look at your wheel, you'll see if you have a house that's empty. There's a lot of misinformation out there. I just saw a post on Facebook. Somebody was upset that another astrologer had posted something inaccurate, and I started reading the post, and I guess there was a meme they posted that if you have empty houses, it's a bad thing. It is not a bad thing. And I was shocked to see that some astrologer had posted this on Facebook and people were believing it and putting tears, and I'm like, oh no, empty houses are not bad. And so someone actually saw it too and posted, and I'm like, oh yep, I saw that. And I always tell people it just means you don't have a lot of karma or learning in that area of life. That's it. It's not a bad thing. It just means that you don't have learning in that area. Thank gosh. I mean, thank gosh we don't have learning in every single house. That would suck. You know, it's a couple houses is enough, right? We don't need every house teaching us something. So, what I tell people is, look at what sign is on the cusp of all your houses. And sometimes based on, your time of birth and longitude, latitude, and degrees and stuff, you might have one house that's bigger than other houses, and there might be two signs sitting on that house. And when that's the case, both those energies are affecting that area of life. So if it's Taurus and Gemini, you're going to have both those energies affecting that area of life. If it's Aries, there, you're going to have Aries affecting that area of life. So you can look up what sign or what, two signs are on each house, even if they're empty and they don't have planets in them in your birth chart. And you can read about that sign and learn to harness its energy. And that's what my book is really about, is learning how to be a Scorpio. If you don't have any Scorpio, like what does that feel like? How do I become more Scorpio in this area of life? Maybe it's on your fourth house of home and family. You can read about Scorpio chapter and tap into those energies and read and learn about them. Because I believe by learning about all the different signs, we understand each other better. And then we don't get angry or take things personal. To me, astrology is a tool of self-awareness. And I'm so glad I found it because it's helped me get along in life. Because I was always really sensitive and I took things personal. I got my feelings hurt real easy when I was young. And I learned to have a tougher skin. And I learned that, okay, wait a minute. This is their sign. This is why they're acting like this. And I need to figure out how to deal with it and give them what they want and adapt. So I ended up being the person later in life, now that I'm older, that I could say I could handle any type of person. And people would say, Carmen, can you deal with it? Because I'm able, and once I know their basics, like even if they don't tell me, I'll know if they're fire, I'll know if they're Scorpio, I'll know, and I'll be able to work with them and talk to them in a way that they're not threatened. And that's kind of what I'm good at. Is kind of one, and then I always ask if I get close to them, when's your birthday? And
Yeah.
your time, I'd like to, if I'm working with you, I'd really like to understand you more. And they're like, Carmen, this is weird. Like, I don't know what this is. I'm like, it's okay, because in my work that I used to do, a lot of people were not open to this. I mean, they did, I was the only one in my office that ever did this, except one time. It was pretty cool when years and years ago when I was in Germany. There was a mental health psychiatrist that found out I did astrology, and I was young. I mean, this was like 2001. I mean, it was a long time ago. And he came down to say, what's my rising sign? What do you think? And I was like so shocked because no one in the Air Force in my normal job ever did that. And I'm like, Taurus. He's like, how did you know? I am. I'm a Taurus rising. I said, because you got a large neck and broad shoulders. He's like, oh my gosh. He looked like a bull, a little stocky. And so you can see the physical traits are the rising sign, how you physically
Right.
look. Sometimes you can guess. And I'll try to, he asked me to guess. I guessed. I was right. But and then he became like my friend and even asked me to do charts for some of the other mental health providers. And they were
Wow.
open to it. I mean, and I'm so thankful for that experience, I was young, I was in my 20s, and I thought, wow, people are open to what I do and who I am and what I believe. So it helped encourage me to keep doing it, what I was doing. And but that was really, really special. I mean, I didn't have that a lot, in a lot of my positions
Right.
that I worked in my normal job. People would know I believed in the full moon, because I would always tell people, ever since I worked with runaway teens. I don't know if I talked to you guys about this last time, but and every time there was a full moon, they'd be at the police station. And every week, like every Friday when the team, the youth service team would meet, I'd tell them, listen, it's going to be a busy weekend. There's a full moon. And they're like, you're crazy. What do you mean? I said, you just watch. You just watch. And then next thing you knew, every single time there's Carmen, is it a full moon? All my kids were at the police station. I said, I told you, because there's more domestic disturbances. There's more wrecks, more accidents, more people going to the ER. I mean, you can talk to ER docs and police officers, and they'll tell you the busiest time of the month is during the full moon for them.
Oh, yeah.
And it's research. It's because the moon affects the tides of the ocean, affects our emotions. and it affects animals, it affects us. And to think we're on this earth and these major things going in the sky don't affect us, it doesn't make sense to me. I mean, I know it's affecting us, and someone told me recently, and I laughed because I'm like, oh, I'm going to use this. It's the quickest way to get a skeptic to believe in astrology and these things is to do their birth chart. Think
I believe
and
that.
it's so it is
That's
it,
true.
and I'm like, and I had that with some people but they try to test you, like, well, how did you know that? That is accurate, but how did you know that? Like, you know, and I'm like, this, and I go into more detail, and then they get a little bit afraid because it validates what you know about yourself. That's all it does. I said, this is a tool of self-awareness. I'm just analyzing it you know and obviously it's hit a nerve because you're wondering how I knew. It's your map of your soul. That's how. Like, I didn't make it up. So I try to get people to not be so judgmental about it. And I've got some good friends they just don't quite understand. They like it, they think it's cool what I do and it's pretty neat, but they don't really talk to me about it, and they don't really know, and they've never asked me to do their chart. But they like to see my podcast. I'm always on a podcast. Oh, cool. But they don't, they buy my books. But one of my friends, I told her, hey, we have good luck at career together. Like, we're meant to work together. And she's like, we are? I'm like, yeah. And that's why we click, and I tell her things. So I try to teach it as I live my life, teach it on a basic level. It's like planting seeds, really, to open people's minds. And that's
True.
why I love, coming on podcasts like this and talking, because when I first started out, I had a lot of I had a lot of guilt, at first, by doing, astrology and these things, because I was raised in the Bible Belt of the Midwest, in Missouri in the Ozarks. I mean, this was not this was not something. I mean, you think of the show on Netflix, The Ozark. That's kind of how I grew up, out in the middle of nowhere, and Bible, Baptist. Nobody was talking about dreams or astrology, and uh, and I was always like this, like ever since I was little. And I never understood I was born like this. And so I remember asking my parents, was I adopted? I remember asking my mom because I said, I'm not like you guys. I was so different. And I would dream things, and I would feel things, and I would, kind of be open-minded about things I shouldn't have knew about. Like, why am I used to think, what if I die? Where do I go? I used to lay in bed and think that as a kid. And I'm like, this isn't normal. Like what? I mean, most people don't even think about this stuff. So I'm like, I knew I was different. And so, when I was in high school, I think I told you, because I saw that glowing ball of light in my doorway. And that, no one ever believed me whenever I would see stuff or wake my mom up and stuff. And so that night, she finally saw the orb. And thank God, because I had a witness, because no one ever believed. They thought, oh, Carmen's crazy, Carmen, she's imaginative. And they even joked me in high school. I mean, I played basketball, and my senior year, they would give the seniors gag gifts. And I told them all my ghost stories, my story about the orb, on the bus, on the games. I mean, all the girls on the team knew. But, and my mom told him, I said, Mom, tell him. She's like, I saw it. It was real. She tried to vouch for me because they thought I was making it up. And as a gag gift, they gave me an alien figurine from the movie Alien. And then they gave me like a Enquirer magazine or something and it was just, gag gifts, because I've always been into this stuff ever since I was in high school. I mean,
Yeah.
I didn't. And I don't know. And then, I'm so lucky I found an astrology book when really, because back then there wasn't a lot out there, and I just taught myself. I mean, I just started reading it, and I'm like, wow, this is me. This explains why I'm like I am. And so back in those days, I would draw charts by hand. I would get the rulers and the longitude, latitude, the I don't know how I did that. Like, I look back now, like, that was a lot of work. Now you have computers that do it all. But in
Yeah.
those days, in the 90s, that's what I used to do. And it was all by hand. And it took me a long time to do a chart and draw the symbols and do the ruler and the aspects. And then I'd have it by hand to give to someone. I mean, it was pretty cool. And I used to do that. And then now, as computers came, now we have programs that you put it in, it pops it right out for you. It's
which
pretty
is
cool.
Right.
lovely.
A lot less work. I
Very
can
cool.
do 2 charts a day now, I mean, or more, before it was like one a week.
Yeah, exactly. So if a person, when they get your book, your new book here, then you can find out all about yourself. Because that would be my biggest question is what's your soul mission? So which
Oh
house
yeah.
am I looking into for that or one of our
So
listeners?
so that's kind of, well, you can do this in my new book, but that's one of my other books. And I don't know if I was on your show with this one, I might have been Astrology's Magical Nodes of the Moon. Did I come on
Yes,
about that book?
yes, I think you did come up
Yes.
about
Yeah.
that one. That was one.
So in astrology, the moon, this is what's interesting. In the history of astrology, everyone, when I first started studying astrology, no one talked about your soul mission. No one talked about the nodes of the moon. I didn't know what that was. That wasn't a thing in the 90s when I was learning astrology. No one really talked about it. And then I think in the 2000s later on, there might have been a book or two that was written, and they're really the only ones out there that were really in thorough about what are these nodes? What is this? And I found out that Western astrology, in history, how it spread, how it moved across the different continents, that the nodes of the moon actually came from India and from the Vedic astrologers. And it was cool because they're looking in, I saw podcasts where they were researching through history. When did Western astrologers take on the nodes? And the Vedic astrologers called the nodes of the moon Rahu and Ketu. And we took it into Western tropical astrology, became a part of what we do, but we got it from the ancient Vedic writings and everything. Because they've been doing astrology before a lot of people were ever doing astrology. It's a little different than Western, but it's just slightly off a little bit, and then they have a different way that they have a chart. But it pretty much just shifts your rising sign and sun sign a little bit, just a little bit. It's pretty, I say, whatever tool works for you, go with it. I had a friend that was a Vedic astrologer. He said, "You're not Virgo rising, you're Leo rising in Vedic." And I'm like, well, I feel like I'm a Virgo rising, but I always was open-minded, and he would give me tips and stuff of my Vedic chart, which was almost identical to my Western, except the houses were off a little bit, you know. But the thing is, we got these nodes of the moon, and what it is, it's a mathematical calculation based on the moon's orbit. And the north node is what we call our soul mission. It's that area of life that we came here to learn. And so the ancient astrologers believe that the south node of the moon, the calculation, is your past lives. It's what you've already learned. It's all of the lifetimes you bring into this life with you, all the learning, all of it. And we are comfortable in the sign that the south node is in, because every sign has an opposite sign, right?
Mhm.
So, like Aries and Libra are polar opposites. Taurus and Scorpio, Gemini and Sag, Cancer and Capricorn, Leo and Aquarius, and then Virgo and Pisces. And those are the nodal pairs, because every node opposes south node and north node, right? So if you have the south node Aries, your north node's going to be in Libra no matter what. Same with if you have the north node in Scorpio, your south node's Taurus, because those are always going to be opposing each other in the sky. And so once you know that, it's easy to know, okay, what's my north node? What's my south node? Oh, okay, my north node on this birth wheel I got on astro.com says my north node Scorpio. And you may not see the symbol of the south node in the wheel, but you know it's there. It's always going to be the opposite sign and house. So I always tell people that because they ask me that. But the north node looks like headphones.
Okay.
It's shaped like headphones, like two circles with or a horseshoe. And that's a symbol in your chart because astrology is all
Okay.
symbols. And that's your soul mission this lifetime is the north node. So we want to know what sign it's in. And we want to know what house it's in because the houses will show what area of life you express that energy in, what area of life you're supposed to focus on. And so you're learning about that sign and house, and you're bringing it all together is the mission of us. And so I realized, so in my book, my new book, if you know your North Node sign, I recommend read all about the chapter that your North Node sign is in. So if your North Node sign is Scorpio, read my Scorpio chapter. It's going to help you greatly. And if your
Okay.
South Node is Taurus, which it will be if your North Node Scorpio, read the Taurus chapter because that's the trait you're meant to leave behind. And you're meant to release those traits because you're meant to balance both of the energies. But sometimes, we're stuck in the past because we're cozy and comfortable. We don't want to go into the North Node. And what's really cool is that the nodes are the most important thing, and it's why we're here.
Right.
So if anything, if you know where your nodes are and that right there is all you really need to know in astrology if it's too complex. If you don't really like it, that's okay, but learn about your nodes because that will help you so much. And
Well,
the thing about it is too is that everything that happens in our life is getting us into the North Node. So the transits, these different eclipses, all these things that are happening in the world, in the sky, are happening in the area of our birth chart. They're awakening
mhm.
things. They're triggering events in our life, just like they do in the world. And so everyone has to live through different things that happen. They're destined, fated things to get us where we're meant to go. So some people have easy nodes. And I always laugh. I tell people, man, I wish I had your nodes because I got the hard ones. That's what I always say. I got Scorpio North Node, Taurus South Node. It's like it sucks,
Wow.
Um, they're like the forgiveness and trauma and letting go and change and Phoenix energy, rebirth, death, But some nodes are a little easier than others. Like Gemini Sag nodes are fun to me. They're about knowledge and learning and travel and exploration and adventure, being free spirited, to me, that's easy. That's fun.
Hmm.
Um, and then, Aries Libra, they're the nodes of relationship karma. And so they struggle with intimate relationships like marriage and partnership. So often they divorce, sometimes more than once. And I rarely see someone with those nodes that either hasn't divorced or has waited to get married, has not married. Like they just haven't met the person because it's like the universe is blocking it because they have lessons with being self-reliant and then sacrificing everything for a partner. So they're learning about relationships and balancing themselves with other people. And then, I would say the Cancer Capricorn nodes are the nodes of family karma. And so almost everyone I know with those nodes, I mean, it's starting to be really scary in a way. Like I've been researching it. I was like at this fair and there were all these astrologers who were doing mini readings and it was all, it was like an event and people would just come and sit when there was a seat open. They didn't really get a choice. Everyone that came to me that night had the nodes in Cancer and Capricorn. And
Wow.
my mother has those nodes. So I have seen what she's went through in her life taking care of her parents, my grandpa, my grandmother and I knew. And so I would share, you probably feel responsible for taking care of your mom or dad. You may move them into your home. You may financially help them or feel like you need to move to go closer to home, even though you may have moved away from home, but you end up back in your hometown. They're like, oh my gosh, that's what I've done. And then, they all start sharing with me. And all of them, you can't make that up. That's research. Like I am, and so I use it to help people understand why their life is the way it is. You're not being punished. You came here to learn these lessons of the notes. And once you do, things will get easier. Once we get into the North Node, we accept that we came here for a reason. Like I know I got to let the past go. You know, the more I hold on, the harder my life gets. I have to change. I don't like it, but the more I do it, then good things come my way when I finally end things or get rid of things that are bringing me down or that I'm not happy doing.
Hmm.
And,
Right.
and I had to learn that the hard way. And so I help people when I do their birth charts to focus on the nodes. And so in my new book, if you know your North Node, you can look up and read everything about that sign, is what I recommend, and everything about that house in my new book, Your
Okay.
Astrological Energy. And it'll help you harness the positive traits of that sign because I used to say, I'm never going to be a Scorpio. How am I ever going to be a Scorpio? I remember in 2012. I was going through something major. I was changing. I just felt like I wasn't as I used to be real trusting and a little bit idealistic and all this, and I started feeling hard. Like like I can't trust people and kind of like I just want to stay in my house. I don't want to get out in the public. Like I don't want to be heard. This kind of weird energy started affecting me. Like I was changing. And I realized, oh my God, this is my Scorpio North Node. And I was just getting a little taste of it, and I didn't like it. I didn't like it, at the time. I'm like, oh my God, how am I ever going to become a Scorpio? And I used to have, and I draw Scorpios because that's what also happens. Whatever sign your nodes are in, you attract those people. You attract both the north and south. And I have tons of Taurus and Scorpios in my life. So much so, in my last job, everyone in the freaking office was a Scorpio and Taurus except me. Everyone. I said, you can't make this up. I said, I'm surrounded by a bunch of Taurus and Scorpio. That's my learning. See, I was like, and the things that annoyed me about the Tauruses were my South Node, stubborn, yeah. I think they're always right, yeah. So, those are things I'm meant to let go of, like to
Right.
listen to other people that they could be right too, you know. So I'm like, oh my God, they're just showing me a mirror, of what I'm learning, what my past lives were. And so it's really cool because by the time we're in our second Saturn return, which happens at age 57 to 60, we're in our North Node. Everyone I met is finally doing what their soul came here to do. And they always validate it to me. Oh yeah, Carmen, I went through all of this and I'm doing it now. I divorced or, I moved and I'm doing what I love now. I quit my job and I'm doing a new job, which is spiritual work, or whatever, a podcast or writing, whatever it is. And they're doing it. So I always tell people the universe gets us into our North Node no matter what. We can either go
Totally.
kicking and screaming or resisting it, and it makes it more painful because then the universe pulls the rug out. And like, okay, sorry, time is of an essence here. You're getting in there now, because we don't have all the time in the world here, right?
Yeah.
And so you get in there, and that can be more painful when that happens. So I tell people that if I catch them at a young age, hey, embrace your North Node now. Start be trying to do it. It won't be, but it'll make life a lot easier. You know what I mean? And I
Right.
wish somebody
Yeah.
told me that. When I first started studying astrology, no one talked about the nodes. I never had any astrologer tell me about my nodes. So it's such an important thing now. It's a big thing now. So
Yeah,
Good to
definitely.
know. I remember years ago when I was getting into a little bit of everything and I was trying a little bit of astrology and I was reading up on my chart about what I was supposed to be like as a person. And I read all these negative stuffs like I'm a Virgo, right? So
me,
I had all these negative things and I looked at it and I thought, oh my God, I don't want to be like that.
I
You
know
know, that's it. And I always said to myself, I'm going to try really hard to make a difference and make me not
yes.
like that because I don't want to be that person that, you know, like a
Yeah.
Virgo is supposed to be.
Oh,
And I just started
critical.
working
Yeah.
on it. So even back then, astrology was a pointer to
It's
me
so
saying,
cool.
work on the things that don't please you.
I
Yeah.
love that. I'm so glad you're a Virgo. I'm a Virgo too.
Yeah.
Um, I'm married to a Virgo and my daughter's a Virgo. We're all Virgos in
Wow.
the house. And I was just talking to two other people this month that were Virgos, podcast people, and they said they feel like Virgos get a bad rap. And I said they really do because Virgo is the sign of service. So we love to help people, but we are worriers and we overanalyze things and we
Yeah.
overthink and we're really
Everything.
everything and we want to do things right. We want to be perfect in some ways. We want to be efficient and productive and help people and work. And but sometimes we get a bad rap because people say we're cold. In the books, it's
Critical.
not true. Virgos are very caring. They're earth, so they're practical, but they
Yeah.
like to help people. They'll be like, we do. And I mean our polar opposite sign is Virgo is Pisces. So we have that sensitivity in us. We always have traits of our polar opposite. So we have a
Right.
little bit of Pisces in us. Every Virgo doesn't. But Virgo, a lot of people, if they're not a Virgo, they don't understand us. It's like
That's
we're just trying to make it better. like so, oh, you're being so no, 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 I'm just trying to help. Like that's what I always have to say to people. I just want to make it easier. I'm just trying to help. Like I'm not pointing something out to be rude or anything. I noticed there's a misspelling or something. I mean, like, don't shoot me, It's like I'm just trying to help. So when you look at these, like, when you're being a
That's so
Virgo,
the truth. That's so the truth because I've been told, I don't know, you say that in a way that you make me think that you're telling me off. And I'll go, no, I'm not telling you off at all. I'm sorry. I'm just assertive because
yes,
I say things as I see them. And
yes.
sometimes my delivery isn't as kind as maybe as it should be. But I mean, it comes out of my mouth and the next thing I know, oh shit, I said that.
I know, right?
Oh,
Yeah,
darn.
Virgos are communicators. They talk, and then if you ask them their opinion, and I'll even say, "Are you sure you want to know?" Because at work, I mean, I had this happen where, like the big boss would ask me something, and I'm like in the office alone with them, and I'm like, "You really want me to tell you? I'll tell you if I tell you the
You
truth."
don't want to know.
Mhm.
It when I talk, I only will tell you the absolute truth. And they said, I want to
Exactly.
know. I want to know because I cannot
Exactly.
lie. I cannot be fake. And so I would tell them it's a mess and this is what's going on and this is how you can fix it. I would always give a solution because I always ask them to try to fix it, but they never would. That's one reason I left, honestly. I know, I walked away after
I,
25 years.
I
Um,
always thought I thought it was interesting too because I'm with a Virgo, but
um,
my kids are Capricorn and Pisces,
oh,
which is
nice.
really kind of cool too, right? So
Yeah, that's good matches for you, actually. I mean,
actually, yeah,
my best friends are both Capricorn, and then I have tons of Pisces friends. And because that's our polar opposite.
yeah, I know.
We're enough different, but we bring out the good in each other, Pisces and Virgo. Like if someone's a Pisces, I just click with them. Like I had a mailman that was a Pisces, and we talked for hours, and I'm out there getting the mail. My dog would go up in his truck, and then he's like, I better get back to work, and he was just we just clicked, just so nice. And it worked, same thing. I'm like, you're a Pisces, aren't you? They're like, yeah. And they would like me. They would want to talk to me. So you click with certain people. It's that the elements of earth, earth and water signs go well together. Water and water, earth and earth, those are really compatible signs. So that's
Yeah,
just basic compatibility there. But we click with them, with our polar opposite and the other earth signs, definitely. It's so you can see it in life. It's pretty neat.
So these are all things that people can learn in your new
Yeah.
book, Ben, is
Yeah.
really about themselves and how to best show up in the world and
Yes.
kind of
Yes.
work on all their things that they need to work on then.
Yeah, yeah, learning, their moon sign, where Mercury is, where Venus is, Mars, all their planets, what sign they're in and how that affects them, what house they're in, and any transits going on and how that can affect them. It's a deeper dive than any of the books I've written. It's the thickest book
nice.
I've written. It's about this thick. I'm like, oh my gosh, I wrote that. Wow. I mean, I knew it took me, it was pretty painful when I was doing it. I'm like, I'm never writing a book again. I remember telling my daughter, because it's like a lot of editing, just so much editing that goes into it. Before you submit it, you want it to be perfect. Well, that's my Virgo. I'm
Yeah.
like editing, editing. She's like, Mom, that's why they have editors. That's what my daughter told me. I offered to pay her money to help me edit the book. She's 20. She's like, Mom, she gave up. I can't. She was like so sick of reading about it. And so I'm like, oh my gosh. So I was like, yeah, you're right. The editors will do their thing. And they did. So,
Yeah.
but, I always try to have it good, but yeah, it's Virgos like to talk, they like to write, they like to learn, so doing podcasts, things like that, that's very fulfilling, talking
Yes.
to people and learning and in the service, helping others heal, helping others with their health, all those things.
Yeah. Yeah. True enough. True enough.
See, talked you into it, and here you are, right meant for it.
I love it. I love this. I wish I'm hoping someday my daughter will work with me. I had somebody do a reading for me and her when she was a baby. And I have a recording of it. Back in the old days, they do the cassette tape. And it said that that she would work with the mother in some way when she was older. And that always stuck out to me. But right now she kind of rebelled against me and all this stuff. But she's kind of coming back to the fold, like want me to do her friends charts, and things. So I want her to want to learn about it. I don't force it on her. She hasn't want to take a class or anything, but she knows the basics. But I'm like, how we'll work together someday. I know it's going to happen. I just gotta wait. I just gotta wait till the timing's right, you
That's
know.
right. Yeah.
Right.
When she's ready, then you'll be ready because you're just
I would
waiting
love,
That's right.
for her.
yes, I
That's
would
right.
love it. Love
What
that.
do you hope that people will take away from your book and be inspired by?
Yeah, I think, just how easy it is to read and understand, number one, because I give keywords. I give key traits for every sign, their energies, try to explain their energies in a very practical way. And that
Nice.
way you can harness it. I even say harness this trait, harness this, in the book for each chapter. So you can tap in. So you don't have to just read about your own sign. I want everyone to read all the chapters because you can learn to harness all those energies because you have them all somewhere in the birth chart. Everyone has all 12 signs somewhere in their chart. So
Right.
using it to realize that, like, oh wow, oh, I have Aries on this house. I don't have any planets there, but oh wow, that makes sense. Because in groups, I'm attracted to, people that are assertive, or I'm assertive in groups if Aries is on the 11th house, or, and you'll start, learning more about yourself. So I would say, it's for beginners, people that want to learn more, want to tap in, people that already know astrology, they would like it too. It's a different perspective. And I just wanted to get it out there that it's energy, and you can even use it like if you're an energy healer or a counselor or in different career fields where you're helping people. I'm hoping people can use my book to learn more about their clients, and knowing their sign, their basics, you'll be like, oh, okay, this is how they, their strengths. These are their weaknesses. These are, this is how they are, and this can help them maybe. Knowing how to relate to each sign and their energies is
Right.
important, and all of the different placements and planets in each sign. It all changes your personality. That's why twins are even different because they can have a different moon sign, different emotional nature. And the houses can be off a little bit depending on how far apart they're born.
Right.
And our soul is different. Even twins that are born like within minutes, they'll have like a pretty identical chart. And people ask me this a lot. And they're like, so what is that? And I said, well, they're different souls. They can be very different because they've lived different lives and different experiences.
Yeah.
Even though they have a similar way of learning this life, they're going to be different people. And you'll notice that, even though they have identical chart.
Mm.
But it's pretty neat. And yeah, I think more and more people are getting interested in astrology. And, it's just been my passion. And I don't know. I can't imagine not doing it or talking about it. I remember I used to be so obsessed with it. I talk and someone said, you need to do videos. Like, I can't listen to you anymore. They're like, I don't know what you're talking about, because I'm like sharing all this stuff. So I started doing videos back in 2015, just a few, just to get my thoughts out. But I'm definitely not doing YouTube like I would like to. It's just kind of not me. I'm more behind the scenes. I don't mind to get
Yeah.
out on a few things sometimes, but I like working behind the
That's a
scenes.
true, Virgo.
I'm a little shy, yeah. Like I
That's a
like
true,
to
Virgo.
get the stuff done, make my list. I like to achieve things, be efficient, productive, and I'm a worker bee. I like to work. I like to be doing something. That's kind of a Virgo thing. We like to be accomplishing something. Feel like we're
Yeah.
making a difference.
Yeah. So do we get a sneak peek of the book, or do you have one there?
Um, what do I don't know what I don't have one sitting right here. Shoot, it's in my other room.
I just
You
have
want to
this.
go
It's
get it?
just a black and white
You want me
copy.
to go get it?
Sure.
Let me go get it.
So you got your book now.
Your
Wonderful.
astrological energy.
That's beautiful.
It's a thick one.
It is a thick one.
Is it ever thick?
I
Yeah,
was surprised when it came. I'm like, yeah, like I knew I wrote. I like the colors they did.
I do.
But
Yeah,
yeah, it was fun. I'm happy about it. I'm excited.
good for
Um,
you.
Just hope people like it. People go out and give it a try.
Oh,
I
they
think
will.
I
They
think
will.
people will, and I think I can speak for Mom and I both that we are going to really enjoy that and enjoy doing it together and doing it separate and and
Yes,
finding out about that's I'm most excited about just figuring out who I am and how I
Yeah.
tick and oh, that's why I do that or like that or
we
whatever,
used to
right?
do that.
I
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
excited about that because I know I can just tell things about myself that are changing
Yeah.
from how I used to be. And so
Yeah.
I'm so interested to read your new book and find out that. And I know I'm sure I can speak for Mom as well, saying
You can.
you as well.
Thank
So,
you.
Absolutely, you can. And
well,
we'll talk about it too.
yes, we definitely will. So, can you tell everybody where they can find you?
Sure. You can find me on my website, Carmen Turner-Schott. It's SCHOTT.com, CarmenTurnerSchott.com, and on Facebook, Deep Soul Divers Astrology, Carmen Turner-Schott. That's my Facebook page. You can follow me there. And then Instagram, Carmen Turner-Schott author. And I have a YouTube channel, Carmen Turner-Schott. You can subscribe, follow me. I post videos every so often. But
Nice.
if you want to contact me, if you go to my website, I have some free downloads on my website, like about the eighth and 12th houses, which are a lot of research I do, the spiritual houses in the birth chart. And you can get a free download there. Subscribe to my email distro, contact me, and I'll write you back. So, yeah, if you want a consult, I offer that as well. And would love to meet new people, do new charts, and
Beautiful.
connect.
That sounds wonderful. And you were saying that right now there's a deal on where people can get 10%
Yes.
off a consult.
Yes, if you write me, you hear this podcast, you find out, hear it, I'm doing 10% off. So email me and I'll give you the code for 10% off any consults with me right now.
Beautiful.
Wonderful.
Yes,
Well,
yes.
thank you. That's very generous of
Yeah,
you. And as
thank you.
always, it's so beautiful having you on the podcast with us. So we always
Yes, it
learn
is.
so much from you when we're talking with you, and you have such great energy. So
You do.
astrology is definitely
Thank,
energy. You have it. So
thank
thank
you.
thank
I
you for
try, try to be positive.
well, thank you for being on with us, and we hope you'll come back and maybe we can do a live sometime where people can
Yeah,
maybe
Yeah.
tune in and ask you some
Ooh.
astrological questions.
Oh my gosh, yeah. If you want to do a Q&A about on Insta or whatever, let me know. We can do it in, August or September, whatever's good for you guys.
Okay, that
awesome.
sounds wonderful. So
Yeah.
thank you so
Awesome.
much for being with us today. We really
Thank
appreciate
you.
it. And
Thank you.
everybody else, we will see you on the next one.
You bet you will.